president also being hit with criticism for making the decision to release those detainees without consulting Congress, as Ed was just saying. The president says, well, he only had that small window of opportunity to get Sergeant Begdahl back. Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Dianne Feinstein, as Ed just alluded to, says she was never told about the exchange, but was called by one of the president's advisors who blamed it simply on an oversight. Joining me now is Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz, a member of the Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees. He's live in studio today. Great to see you, Congressman.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, so what are we to make of this? Because as we just heard from Ed, there's now this bipartisan criticism sort of percolating out there.
This idea that they forgot to tell the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, that's not an excuse. If you go to jail or you're before a judge, you can't say, I forgot armed robbery was illegal. You got to actually comply with the law. And the law says you have to inform Congress.
Well, why wouldn't they tell Senator Feinstein? She's on the same team.
There's a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you're telling the chairman and the ranking member in both the House and the Senate of the Intelligence Committees. You also have to tell the senior leadership. There's a reason we have a check and balance in this country. It's in the Constitution. You don't just get one person to make these decisions to let terrorists back on the battlefield.
Well, what do you make of the fact that Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, he says today that he did receive a heads up about a day in advance?
A day in advance. So they obviously knew in advance. Why didn't they tell the rest of the team? If they told Harry Reid, then you've got to tell the Speaker of the House. You also have to tell the intelligence.
Well, what would the ramifications have been? Why do you think they didn't tell?
I think they consciously made a decision not to. Because if you tell one and you don't tell the other, this is not some job for an intern. This is a very senior level position. Somebody should be fired over this. You do not just operate this country with this idea that, oh, we'll just apologize
later. Well, who
later.
should be fired, though? What if it's the president's decision?
To not inform Congress, then add that to the list of things that we should be irate about. But there's somebody there at the White House who is in charge of informing Congress, and they did not. To tell Harry Reid and to not tell Mitch McConnell, to not tell John Boehner, to not tell Nancy Pelosi, that's against the law. It's not right.
All right, so let's move on from the constitutionality of all of that and possible overreach to the idea of what actually happened. What would you have done?
There's two parts to this transaction. Of course, we want to get an American back. I don't care what his beliefs are. Get an American home. But on the other side of this, Lindsey Graham is right. This is the starting five. This is the dream team. And we're putting them back on the battlefield. I'm reading news reports that they're now free to roam wherever they want, in gutter, there, in the country. I'm afraid that those men and women who did the hard job putting their lives on the line to capture these people, and now we just put them back on the battlefield, we're going to have to go deal with that again.
So the president says, look, we had this small little window of opportunity. His health was deteriorating. What would you have done in that circumstance?
Well, you do this in the sober light of day. And we had made a decision as a nation that we do not negotiate with terrorists. We did negotiate with terrorists. Do you think President Obama would have actually won his election if he sat in that debate with John McCain and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to negotiate with terrorists. And this is how we're going to. That is not what you do as the President of the United States.
Well, we're going to have to see how this all fleshes out. Now more hearings are probably on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Congressman Chaffetz, great to see you in person. Thank you.